Hello, welcome to A4's 2025 What Can We Do Public Project Share Out and Celebration. I'm Justine Lee, I'm the Program Director at A4, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Those of you who are familiar with A4 know that we are dedicated to ensuring greater representation, equity, and opportunities for Asian American artists and cultural organizations, for resource sharing, promotion, and community building. And with all that is happening in the world, I want you to know that A4 is committed to staying a safe space for you, your family, and our communities. Given that, I just wanted to remind everyone quickly of our community safety statement. We aim to create environments in person and online that are welcoming, inclusive, and safe, physically and emotionally for our community members. If we observe any actions or behaviors that can be interpreted as harmful or threatening, we retain the right to use our discretion and remove the offending party. For our community safety, we further reserve the right to suspend, okay, it's kind of like legalese, okay, offending parties attendance of A4 events, both in person and in perpetuity, and removal from online offerings. I don't think that'll be an issue today, or hopefully not ever, but we just wanted to put this out there so you all know that we take your safety seriously. I'm just going to share some quick protocols and announcements before we start. We are recording this event, and we will be posting it to A4's YouTube channel for later viewing. If any of the awardees would like me to remove your presentation for whatever reason, just follow up with me after the event and we can get that. I know some of you have some concerns around anything publicly. We have all gender restrooms on either side of the main room out here, about midway. So feel free to use. We also have Wi-Fi guests, which you can feel free to sign on to. So I'm just going to give you a brief run through about how tonight will go. We're going to hear from each of our What Can We Do awardees about their projects and the project's impact on the awardee and the community they serve. They will each have 5 minutes to present, and I will hold up a sign when there are 30 seconds left of this to help keep things moving. After everyone has presented, we'll take a group photo with the awardees, and then we're going to break for mingling. Because there is no time for Q&A, I hope you'll stick around just so that you can meet each other and make connections. I did quickly want to share, before we get into things, want to share about the A4 Arts Fund. This is the first time that we are doing something like this, of this scale. It is a national grant-making program that funds organizations that celebrate and sustain Asian American Pacific Islander arts and culture. The program is offering general operating support and virtual peer engagement to arts and culture orgs with budgets under $500,000. And we're going to be selecting 20 organizations to give that $25K to for anything you need to keep going. And the deadline is July 11th. If you have any questions, you can email mbay@aarscience.org, or you can come up to me afterwards if you're interested. But that QR code will take you to the opportunities page. We are also going to briefly thank our funders. This program, What Can We Do, is supported in part by public funds from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs in partnership with the City Council, including Council members Christopher Marte and Sandra Ung. And the projects that were focused on the support of Palestinian creators and their communities are supported by the Ford Foundation Center for Social Justice. So these are some numbers to take in from this year's cycle. This year marks the 4th cohort of What Can We Do? In the past few years, we've seen more than 90 projects come to life, touching the lives of more than 500,000 New Yorkers. Each project has been one rooted in care, creativity, and a deep commitment to serving community members who need it most. I wanted to highlight the responsiveness of this award. It was created in 2022 to give artists and activists a platform and some funds to give back and feel a sense of agency in the face of anti-Asian hate and violence. This year, in response to the ongoing genocide in Gaza, we recognize the critical need to expand that care to include projects that support Palestinian communities here in New York. And In fact, nearly 40% of our applicants propose projects to that end. I am so grateful to the artists who have risen to the moment with generosity and intention. To all the artists, thank you so much for using your creative practice, your time, and your energy to help others be present, exercise their creativity, to grieve, to heal, and to just get through their day. Your work is a reminder that care is not abstract, it is tangible, and it is powerful. So with that, I would like to transition to the project shares. We have a couple of folks who are unable to make it in person, so I'm going to share on their behalf. And so just, I think some of it is in first person, so just imagine that I am them. Haju Liu. Okay. So Haju, hi everyone. My name is Haju Liu. I'm a sociology PhD student at CUNY. My research interests focus on labor, and I'm also a labor activist. We are a small grassroots group supporting Chinese new immigrant workers in Flushing, Queens, and on 8th Ave in Brooklyn. We specifically focus on immigrant workers to understand their working conditions and to mobilize and organize them around actions. First, I would like to briefly clarify why we focus on Chinese immigrant workers. Since 2020, a new wave of Chinese immigrants entered the U.S. by crossing the border, a phenomenon often referred to by immigrants themselves as, okay, it's a Chinese word that I just don't happen to know it, 走线. Oh, 走线, okay, 走线. While this migration has received considerable media attention, most coverage focuses on how immigrants come to pursue the American dream, with little attention paid to their labor conditions after they've entered. What do immigrants face as workers in the U.S.? How do they feel about their situation, and how do they fight back in the workplace if they're treated unfairly? Our project is aimed to understand new immigrants from the perspective of labor. We focus on workers' working conditions and their response and human actions. Food delivery workers is one of the primary jobs that new male immigrants will choose to do. For our What Can We Do project, we reached out to delivery workers and conducted Know Your Rights trainings and listening sessions over the past 4 months. We created Know Your Right materials specifically for them and talked to them about their working conditions, income, and experiences on platform exploitation. Through these organizing conversations, we share information about workers' rights, connected with them, those interested in taking action, and mobilize them to fight back. We also reach people online by creating a WeChat channel to share mutual aid resources and additional Know Your Right information. We published 7 articles covering immigrant rights, minimum wages adjustment, and delivery workers' collective actions. Online information circulating within immigrant communities often incites hatred, division, and the criminalization of immigrants, carrying strong tones of nationalism and right-wing conservatism. In contrast, our writing directed toward immigrant workers aims to foster a culture of mutual aid, solidarity, and resistance, to empower immigrants, and to challenge and counter some of the more conservative narratives. Through the online channels, we connected with workers who tend to be more active and strongly express their anger with platform exploitation. Lastly, we also mobilize workers to attend public rallies in collaboration with Los Deliveristas Unidos. The first rally was on April 23rd, and the second was on May 28th. During this process, we have formed deeper relationships with Chinese immigrant workers, and also witnessed some workers become more active and develop class consciousness. For example, this is a t-shirt, that one of the workers designed and brought to the rally on May 28th. We wore it together. And then Haju also wrote, I moved to New York in the summer of 2024. As someone new to New York, this project provides me with a good opportunity to start to establish networks with Chinese immigrant workers and local organizations. With this project, I was able to learn about their experiences and make friends with community organizers. Thank you for this grant. Next we have Amina. So I'm also embodying Amina. Hi everyone. I wanted to take a moment to share highlights from 2 community engagements supported by the grant. On Wednesday, April 16th, we hosted a special, there are no photos for this one, but we hosted a special screening of 2 award-winning short films, Where the Wind Blows by Hannah Elias, and The Flowers Stood Silently, Witnessing, by Theo Panagopoulos. These powerful documentaries explore themes of agrarian heritage, ancestral ties to the land, and the complicated role of image making in shaping both memory and resistance. Following the screening, filmmaker Hannah Elias and Amina led a creative writing workshop that invited participants to reflect on personal connections to the land using prompts from a post-screening book that's been traveling with the films. We asked questions like, what is a tree that raised you? What are the roots of your resistance? It was a moving opportunity for folks to deepen their engagement and root their reflections in history and poetry. We also had a joyful hands-on wildflower workshop, which is this picture here, for children and families led by Zayn Elias, a Palestinian-American environmental educator. Kids aged 4 to 12 learned about wildflowers from Palestine to New York. What makes a flower wild, native, or non-native, and created their own pressed flower artwork. They made flower crowns, planted blooms to take home, and enjoyed tea and treats made with edible flowers. I want to say thank you to the A4 team, to the Ford Foundation Center for Social Justice for recognizing the care that Palestinian creatives and communities in New York need, and especially at a time when so many such initiatives are being defunded or are simply non-existent. I didn't apply for this grant as a Palestinian myself, but as someone who has worked closely with many artists, authors, and educators as part of the program team at Store and Bookstore. Therefore, I witnessed firsthand how many Palestinian creatives were pouring time, labor, and heart into raising funds for mutual aid, educating their communities, and raising awareness, often volunteering their time or redirecting what little compensation they received toward efforts in Gaza. With the support of this grant, I was able to better serve those creatives, helping ensure that they could not only continue their work, but also take care of themselves, and use the support to further acts of mutual aid-centered work. Thank you for making that possible. Okay, so that's enough for me. I'm going to pass it on to Michi and Noelle. Also, a quick here in case one of them. So I just want to go over this.
Hi everyone, my name's Michi.
I'm Noelle.
And it's so powerful to get to be here together with all of you and hear about all these amazing projects. I'm an acupuncturist, a performer, and organizer activist.
And I am a theater maker and ritual artist and organizer.
And what we got to do with this amazing grant was hold an afternoon of healing space for members of the Palestinian Feminist Collective. So the afternoon, a couple weeks ago, it was an intimate afternoon. It was under a dozen of us. And we learned about the history of acupuncture, about the 5-point protocol, which is a specific ear acupuncture protocol that was developed in the 70s by movement organizers after they took over Lincoln Hospital. Then we all shared in a collective acupuncture moment, reflected on that experience. We then had some rose mint tea and gathered around this altar, which is right here, just a little piece of it, which included different plants either harvested or rooted in Palestine, Lebanon, and the region. And went through a meditation together that kind of opened up the sky within us and accessing different things we're still not care about. And reflected on that together, then did some more collective exploration through writing, and then through movement, and then shared those experiences through movement. So that's kind of a larger overview of what our time together was. And this is a project that Noelle, oh yes, and then we had an incredibly abundant spread of homemade Syrian food that our third collaborator made. She's an incredible chef and Arabic tutor, and is a refugee from Syria who has recently made New York her home with her children and her husband. Trying to speak really fast, but also trying to think. This is a project that Noelle and our partner and I have been working on now for some time, offering to different organizers, specifically trying to create a healing space for them and what their organizations and their members are needing in this particular moment. So it was really, really incredible to get the support of A4 to be able to do this. As you all know, this isn't exactly what people are getting funded for, to be able to hold radical healing space and care spaces, and to be able to hold a space that felt really intimate and vulnerable, felt like really a very deep gift. And talking really fast, but please.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, and I'll just add a little bit that, you know, part of this work is really thinking about how to allow people to connect with their embodied wisdom, right? Especially organizers and folks in movement work, to have this space to connect with ancestral, earth, and embodied wisdom, and how that can really integrate the fabric of our movements for liberation. That we're able to come from heart space, that we're able to nurture our body, and that we live in a world for so many different reasons and forms of oppression that make us think we have to move from a specific mind space and a specific kind of pace. And this gives the chance, and a specific kind of way of thinking, like a certain rational way of thinking, and being like, what does it mean to recenter in the body, heart, ancestral, land, wisdom, and allow that to support also our liberation. And so these, through healing and through collective healing in intimate spaces, and building that space of tenderness and vulnerability through these ancient and new and reimagined practices that we've been engaging in.
And yeah, just being able to connect in so many different ways to lineage and to ancestry, whether that is our plant and earthly ancestry, to specific lines of practice that have supported us, to movement ancestors, to Asian diasporic practices from so many different parts of the diaspora. It was really, really powerful. And as Noelle mentioned, to get to go slowly felt really radical, to actually get to be where we were for a moment and not need to rush for an outcome or, you know, the threat of the world that feels so heavy, but to really just get to feel what we were feeling and tap into the wisdom of all of this.
That's wonderful.
Both of us are outside time. So we're gonna do 5 minutes. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi everyone. My name is Hind Shoufani. I'm a dancer, choreographer, and dance educator from Seoul, Republic of Korea. And with the grant, I created the Rhythm of Soul. It's a dance workshop series that happens for 6 weeks in Flushing, in Evolution Academia. It's on the last stop of Center Train. It was mostly created because I knew in Flushing there's always a lack of dance teachers because just people don't want to go out there. And so the styles offered in Flushing are usually very specific. So I wanted to open up the genres that are offered and also share about Korean music that's not shared in the more accessible media out there. Is there a video?
Oh, you know what? I can pull it up.
I can keep talking about. So the workshop had about like 20 participants in total, and there were like several people that were keep coming back, like more than 4 times, which was like really grateful. And with I sent out a follow-up feedback form, and it was really nice to see that people were not coming from Flushing, they were coming from different neighborhoods, and like people who usually do contemporary or contemporary folk work that like came all the way to Flushing, and they wanted to keep coming back. So we were the studio and I are talking about continuing the series, so people can keep coming back and see what other classes are out there in the studio and in the neighborhood, stuff like that. This was a really nourishing experience for me as well, because I always want to grow as a dance teacher to offer classes that are for the people that are learning. So I want to thank A4 for this opportunity, and for Evolute for being my partner, and Hannah Tran who edited the video.
I think it's in there.
Okay,
No,
cool.
I'm sorry, I think it was just yours and I didn't.
No worries.
Close it.
Hi everyone, I'm Rochelle. I also go by Yu. I am super excited to share. Y'all are the first people in public to see a little bit of this. So I run a project called Chinatown Records for the past few years. I've been inheriting family record collections from my own family and from my neighbors in Chinatown, and became a DJ from it. But the work that is most fulfilling for me is teaching oral histories and working with community members to actually learn how to talk to their loved ones and build archives together. And so one of the amazing groups that I've gotten to work with are the aunties at the Knickerbocker Village in Chinatown. So over the past year and a half or so, I have been working with an amazing friend, collaborator, dancer, educator, Mei Yin, and we've been going into the senior center, and I'll lug 2 cases of records to the senior center, bring a turntable, and let them tell me about the records. So the records are music, it's music that has been inherited from the 1920s all the way to the 2000s, all Chinese music. I obviously was not born in the 1920s or the 60s or the 80s. So I don't know anything about this music, and so a lot of what I learn about the singers and the songs to play as a DJ is actually going into senior centers. It's throwing block parties in Chinatown. First one's on the 29th. And having people actually come up to me and telling me about the songs. And if I see people singing along, I know that I'm going to keep playing that song. So over the past year and a half, we've been working with the seniors in Manhattan's Chinatown, in Knickerbocker Village. And we have been, last year was very, very DIY. I recorded, so I brought the records in and let them pick through, and then from those records, they picked some of their most memorable songs that they grew up listening to as teenagers, in their 20s, young people, and we recorded their oral histories about these songs. And from those oral histories and their favorite songs, I made a sonic history mixtape, so you can hear their songs and also their stories along with it. And then, it doesn't end there, Mayan took the mixtape, brought it back to the aunties, and they choreographed a whole dance together. So they're dancing to their favorite songs, hearing their stories. And last year, I just recorded the performance on my phone because I'm a music person, not a visual person. So this year, we were really excited with this grant to actually bring on someone who also grew up in Manhattan's Chinatown to become our videographer, and we created a music video with the aunties. So we're actually debuting it tomorrow. So I'm just bringing a little clip, and I'll tell you a little bit about this debut, this superstar debut tomorrow. But I mean today, about tomorrow. But I wanted to show you a little clip just to get all in the feels. That's it. So it was really, really beautiful to be able to be invited into these aunties' homes. They all live in Knickerbocker Village in Chinatown. They have become each other's communities. And so they brought us into their apartments and showed us old photos of themselves and their family photos. And then we also did a group dance together out here on the basketball courts, in the mailroom, in the community center, in the basement. So tomorrow we are debuting this music video. Shout out to my freelancers because it's at 2 p.m. In the middle of the day. But it's really for the seniors. It's going to be their first time seeing the music video. So it's going to be a whole celebration. We're going to play a little bit of last year's performance. Then we're going to debut this music video, and then they're actually going to perform a dance live from last year's performance. And then we'll have a meet and greet with our superstar aunties. Obviously, look at them. So I hope that y'all can make it if you're a freelancer or just want to take work off, because this is so worth it. So it's from 2 to 4 p.m. tomorrow in Chinatown and Knickerbocker Village. If you find me afterwards, I can give you a little calling card so that you can find us. And then it's in the scary basement, but you'll find it. We'll put signs up for you. And yeah, it's going to be a blast.
So hi everyone, my name is Kristen, Kristen Kawad. I hosted a Tetris workshop teaching the traditional art of Palestinian embroidery, how it's woven into Palestinian history, culture, and resistance. So I'll start here. So here is a photo. Unfortunately, did not have an actual photographer at the event, so I, in my moments, was able to snap a couple photos, and some people took some photos as well. But I'll share a little bit about kind of what was included in the event and how it went. But basically, we had, I believe it was 26 or 27 attendees in total. Would have loved to have more, but that's what the space allowed. And then we had, during the event, another, I believe about like 20-something, maybe 30 people come by and ask about it and like sign up on the wait list for the next one. And as well as like I had extra copies of the zines, so I was able to give those out. So with the grant money, I was able to host this event for free, which was really amazing for the Palestinian community. I also shared it originally through word of mouth, sent it to my cousins, told them to send it to some of their friends. I also shared it with the Ramallah Federation of Palestine, if anyone's familiar with that org. They shared it with their New York chapter, got some people from there to come out, and then a couple days before I shared it publicly as well for a couple other allies and supporters to come through. So what came in the bag for the workshop, so everyone got their tote bag as well as a zine. I don't have enough copies for everyone, but I printed some extras. Whoever wants these ones, take it, but I'll pass some this way and some this way. So in the zine there, you'll see there's a little bit about the history of tetris, and then there's like a how-to guide, and then there's some like motif examples as well. But then what we did in the workshop was I gave everyone like a practice strip, and I walked in like a needle and thread, and we walked through the proper like stitching techniques, different stitches as well, and then gave everyone a larger piece of Ada cloth as well to like start their motifs. It takes time, so no one was able to finish it in the 2-hour workshop, but everyone took it home, and it was very rewarding to get like the next 3 days like people like DMing me photos and like, I finished it, that was so awesome, I'm gonna go buy more. So that was really awesome to see that as well. And I think I wrote down some notes, so I'm gonna get it written down. But some of the highlights from this event for me personally was reviving like the joy of zine making. If anyone's ever made a zine, you know printing is much more expensive than you realize. And so with the funding, that was really awesome to be able to put something together tangible for people to take away and take home. And you know, sometimes you sit through a workshop and you remember in the moment and you go home and you're like, wait, what did they tell me? So it's nice for people to have that written down to take home as well. And then just witnessing aha moments, like once people have figured it out. So once they've figured out the stitched patterns themselves on the tests, like when they're like, okay, I'm ready, and they were excited to dive into their motifs. Particularly with the men, that was exciting to watch. Tetris is historically passed down in the Palestinian community from like through generations of like woman to woman. And so I had a couple of men I grew up with in the Palestinian community who were excited to learn because they were like, my sisters know, I never learned, like my mom, my tata, they never taught me. So they were really excited to learn, and when they kind of caught on to it, they were way more into it than they expected and than I was expected. And that was really awesome to see a traditionally female art have a broader audience. And yeah, here's another photo of like what people were sharing online. And I had shared it publicly on my social media kind of last minute because I did want to keep it more centered on the Palestinian community through word of mouth. And so many people outside of the community were interested in learning more about it that I actually have like a wait list of I think about 95 people for the next one. Wow. So I'm gonna host another one. I think like I'm supposed to be end of June, might end up being early July. We'll see, but take a look at my social media if you want to see when that next one's gonna be. And yeah, that was that. And oh yeah, just a little bit of in the zine, but your pieces are being passed around. Thank you guys so much.
Tiffany was not able to make it today, so I'm just going to do a brief organized altogether 2 poetry symposiums among Asian diasporic poets. One of them has already happened at the Queens Public Library last month, and then there's one upcoming at the Queens Botanical Garden at the end of June. So you can see that it's a group of about 6 poets. And yeah, I wish I had more to share, but it sounded like a really powerful event. So. Yay, it was a little Let's get the next.
Participatory art making, drop-in art making, and short animation and interactive visual art. It was shown at the Queens Botanical Garden on May 31st. So a little bit about myself. So this is like the animation that was shown. This was the interactive visual art. A little about myself. I was raised in South Korea and like Hindu, so I would call myself like a newcomer. So that's why the project was called Newcomer. And it was a journey. Making this project was a journey for me to find some cultural pride. Compared to my parents who came here in the 90s for a little bit, like I figured out Korea was a lot westernized and a lot modernized than like what they come through. And coming here where there's like a lot of admiration, Korea has a lot of admiration towards the US is what I feel like. And coming here I felt sometimes very lost. And because I left when I asked myself, who am I? I felt like, is there because I grew up in a place where it's a little bit different tradition, I felt like what I had left was just an admiration towards the other culture, was what I felt. So making this project was a journey of like finding the cultural pride of which I actually grew up with. Like what I actually grew up with were like a lot of like cultural myths, like fried chicken. It's like nothing to do with the tradition of the Korean. Yeah, no, nothing to do with tradition. But like that's what I actually grew up with, and this project was a journey to find like a pride in the cultural mix and if that makes sense. So there was a short animation that depict the journey of finding cultural pride. And this interactive art was a depiction of the Koreatown, and the motion sensor in front of it was able to detect the silhouettes of the participants. And when we move around, this food that represents like the tradition part of the Korea, but also the cultural donation, like fried chicken, potato corn dogs, or like army stew that are very common, but like a mix of everything, like was here and there, popping in and out, so people could go search like a hidden clue. And there was this workshop that I had, which had an explanation of these foods that represent cultural information, and just and that was the part where like the audience could draw their own and have the question of what food represents you, what location represents you, so they could make an art form that was kind of when they finished it, similar to what this interactive visual art would look like. So that was my project altogether, and yeah, this is covered. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Shenghan, and then I want to start with a question. What is the one word you think of when you think of Chinatown? Just shout.
Fish.
Oh.
Food. Nice. My word is bread. This project is about this bakery, New Cameron Bakery. It's off of like right outside of Canal Street subway station. You might have seen it. And I started this project with this place because it was the first place where I felt at home. when I first came to New York a year ago, because I wanted to have bread, and it was the one closest to the subway stop. So I would go there very often to buy bread. And then I started chatting with the auntie who always works at the cashier there, and she's from Malaysia, and she's quite like cheeky and flirtatious with me. And then so we became closer and closer, and then like I got to know her name, her story, and then her birthday even. So I felt like I wanted to do something with them as part of like a testimony to how Chinatown, this place, makes me a newcomer feel at home. So yeah, and then I realized the more time I spent there, I felt like this is really a cute community. Like they have a little town inside their bakery, because they're like, I always see like other regulars who come over to offer like the auntie leftover from their restaurant if they work at a restaurant, or they would like offer free paper boxes because they know the bakery needs a lot of boxes to deliver bread. And I felt like it was so cozy, even though New York is so big and it can feel so intimidating all the time. So I wanted this project to be about documenting, sharing, and gathering people around this bakery and kind of highlighting the community that already exists there. And I felt like the most useful way to do it is through food. So we hosted like 2 kind of potluck dinner with like people who love this bakery, and also the staff who work in the bakery, as well as like local businesses around. And this is from, yeah, and then we had like the second time we had karaoke, because I realized all of these aunties and uncles are stars. And, so we had hot pots, and then we played a lot of Teresa Ten. I feel like Rochelle would know a lot more of those songs. I always play songs from like my parents' generation, but then they actually know songs from 1 decade before. So I had to ask them all what they want to sing. And then even, this is the owner of the bakery. He's usually very reserved and very shy. Like every time I try to film him, he's like, no. But then like after 1 hour of singing, he just started singing like, you know the really famous Chinese meme song, like, Lai Cai, Lai. Yeah, I felt like it was really beautiful to see them like come out of their shell. And then, so for the main part of the project is not actually the food, but it's documenting them and then sharing these like stories with people who might not have met this bakery before, kind of as a way, not just for them to visit this bakery, but also for them to visit like other local places in Chinatown, kind of get to know the people who work there. Because sometimes you kind of go in and you're intimidated, like I don't speak Chinese or I don't speak Cantonese, but they all speak really good English, and like they have a lot of friends who are like from very diverse backgrounds that I was very impressed by. So originally I wanted to make like a documentary, but then as I started filming and then thought about how to deliver this documentary, I felt like a traditional film is not the way to do it, because if you work in documentary, you know how long the production line is, and then you are waiting for it to get to festival or whatever, and you don't actually know who goes to those festivals, because I'm not interested in showing some like film curator what these people are doing. I'm more interested in engaging like anyone who are interested in Chinatown and like want to get to know more about these stories. So I decided to switch lane and then make more short form content on Instagram, kind of just make them an Instagram account because they don't even know what Instagram is. And they wanted to have an Instagram account. So I decided to do an Instagram account, and that led me to my first challenge, because as a filmmaker, I felt like I never downloaded CapCut ever, and then I had to download it to make like actually appealing Instagram videos, and I had to learn how Instagram algorithm works, and well, like, oh, you need to put subtitles on all the videos, you need to have very flashy openings so people actually don't scroll past your video. So I felt like that was a huge learning curve, and then, but I think I enjoyed it because it kept me grounded, because I know that even though I think about art in a very theoretical way as well, and I like engaging with like high art, but every time I go to this bakery, I felt very grounded in a way that, for me, at the end of the day, art is about connecting with people. So I think this project helped me to also like stay grounded. And if you have your phone right now, and if you're on Instagram, you can look it up. It's just called New Cameron Bakery. And I will not show a video right now because there are a lot of them. I was really proud that one of the videos got 3,000 views already, even though the follower count is very low. So you guys could, this is the first time we had food together during Lunar New Year, where the auntie showed us how to do lo-hai. I don't know if you, yeah, there was a plate, this is the plate of lo-hai that we tossed together. And then these are all the people who work also in the business around. There's a restaurant next door, and there's like a thrift store upstairs. And somehow this auntie, she is like the mayor of this bakery town. She knows everyone. She knows everyone's regular orders. So I think what the impact this project has on me, I felt like now, because I was doing something for them and I was engaging them in a way that they didn't expect me to. Like, I showed all the other aunties who worked there a video I made about bread as thirst trap, and they all laughed so hard, and they were like quite impressed by my editing skills. So I felt like, and then they asked me to like, oh, do you want to do this video about this? And they started like contributing ideas for what they want to see. So I felt like, you know, as soon as like Asian elders trust you and ask you for help, you feel very validated, and like they see you as part of the community. And I think that was one of the biggest way that I felt had an impact on me as a person, an artist. And also other impact is that because I was doing this project, I was able to bring a lot of my friends in New York who don't usually go to Chinatown into like this bakery. And then because I asked them, oh, do you want to help me film? Do you want to help me edit? Or do you want to go see this bakery? Or do you want to like show the story on your Instagram account? And I felt like it already started to make people interested in this bakery and other local businesses in Chinatown. And yeah, if you guys have any video ideas you want to see about bakery or like other little stores around this neighborhood, you can let me know. And
can you spell your Instagram handle, please?
oh yeah, new is new versus old underscore Cameron, Cameron bakery. Yeah, but I think it's really important for me that this doesn't become your go-to bakery in Chinatown, because all the bakeries have their own stories, and this is just like because Biafran led me to this bakery, and I wanted like this project to encourage you to discover your own local communities and make your own communities. Yeah. Thank you.
So Florence can't be here in person, but recorded video of us. Watch this together. And it was immersive summer installation featuring meditation soundscapes that I created for the Berlin community here in New York. Here are some photos from the event. It was such an incredible, special day, and I'll share more about it later, but I did want to elevate the concept that very much guided this work, which is the concept of deep listening. So this quote up above is from one of my favorite experimental artists, Rose, and she said, deep listening takes us below the surface of our consciousness and helps us to change or dissolve dangerous. So, as I mentioned before, there was a summer installation, which was actually the culmination of a lot of other work that I've been doing for the project over the course of the spring. So, for the bulk of the project, I was leading one sound meditation sessions for birthing folks and birthing earth workers. And in these sessions, I would do a specific meditation where I'd help people envision their safe, calm place while doing improvised sonic, kind of like sonic soundscape in the background, using synths and other instruments. So inspired by these
meditation itself, breath work, and then engage all 5 senses and go through each one to help people really bring themselves to their safe, calm place and visualize what that is. And then we close out with creative visualization where we imagine the feeling of being in this place as a ball of light and channel that throughout their entire bodies. So this is behind the scenes of what the tracks look like. Each one was so varied. It was such an intimate experience to get to know people this way. Here's more behind the scenes footage. A lot of the tracks were created from field recordings that I took. For example, one person's safe place was in a park in Flushing Meadows, so I actually went to that park and took field recordings. This is some literature that guided my project. One was a zine on queer art and poetry, and another one was a zine on sonic meditation, specifically in an ecological context. So if anyone wants these titles, I'm happy to share via email. I also wanted to elevate the work of my partner, who ended up being my collaborator. He did the branding, the exhibition design, there was a video installation that he edited for me, and he also created these wonderful floral arrangements. So he's so talented, I couldn't have done it without him. And here's some more footage from the actual event. It was such a wonderful day. It was very community focused. People were just, like flowing in and out, really engaging with the tracks, really meditating and sitting with them. There was aromatherapy paired with each track that people could engage with. I had another birth worker friend who created birth safe tea that was also really nourishing for folks. And I also had a lot of family come in. This is my goddaughter who inspired me to become a doula. So it was really beyond what I could have expected, and just such a nourishing, wholesome day. Here's some more photos of the video installation, people hanging out in the space. The tracks were accessed through headphones, and there was an overhead meditation track playing as well. So it was really a listening room. So I also wanted to share an excerpt from one of the tracks with you guys. I'll just let this play out.
Water, the earth, the seeds, and the grace of a dancing sky remain a pure reflection. The wealth of our inheritance, the heart of our connection, the archive of our relation, if we so choose to inspire, if we so choose to.
That's just a small excerpt, but the tracks really ranged. They ranged in place, time, space. It's really, really incredible experience. But I kind of wanted to close out on a quote that really resonated with me from a poem, which is, "A breath, the most powerful fairy tale coming." This is a reminder that I share in every meditation session, that this feeling of safety and calmness is one that people can always access in their breath, and it exists within me. And I just wanted to offer that to y'all as well. Thank you guys so much for listening in. I'm in deep gratitude to A4 and the Botanical Garden for this opportunity. If y'all would like to connect, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to grab coffee. I'm also building out an AAPI Urban Community Resource List, which was shared at the event, but I'm hoping to continue to add to. So if anyone would like to be added to it, or if anyone would like to access that resource as well, I'd love to keep, allowing the seed of a project to grow into something larger. learned so much, and I hope that the rest of the show goes
Hi everybody, my name is Goud, and I'm a Palestinian musical theater writer and actor in the city. I grew up in Palestine, in Jerusalem, and Ramallah in the West Bank, and now I'm based here. And with the help of A4, I was able to put on a stage reading of my musical, Area D. So Area D is an Arab pop Palestinian musical about 4 Palestinians that form a rock band and enter Eurovision. The year it was hosted in Israel. And basically we did the show at the Tank in Manhattan. We did 2 nights of the show. We did a private reading for some industry people. And then we did a 2-show day. It was really fun. It was great. We had a fully Arab amazing cast. And we had a 6-person band, 4 actors. It was live music. And with A4, we were able to pay all of our people. And I don't know if you know, but musical theater is very expensive in New York City, especially when you're trying to put live music and musicians together. And we were able to do a full reading of Act 1, which is such a big deal in the city. Because usually if you're putting on a new show, you're like doing a few songs here and there. You're hoping that the venue's nice. You're hoping that you got the money to pay everybody. And we really relied on the kindness of the cast and the crew and the musicians, because usually people get paid a lot of money for this kind of stuff, but they did it for a compliment, a couple of dollars, and some free pebbles, you know? It's like, it was that kind of form of payment. And I wonder if I have a video. Did I share a video? Maybe I have not. Let me see. No, I have not. May I? It's on my website. Can I? I'll just play you a little bit of an excerpt of the music. Yes. Because why not? Bear with me, all technical difficulties. Nope. We got it. Alright, so what you're going to see is a sample. We're not going to play the whole thing, but one of the songs called Someone from Act 1. There we go. It's worth it, I promise. Just we're just building suspense. We're thinking this through. Oh gosh, I actually don't know. Just make it louder. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yes.
Hold on, the other way.
No. Yep, you got it.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm talking about making him someone. You have to be someone to prove you're deserving of a good life. I know you know that it's cruel and it's unfair, but can't we even help it? You have to play the game to keep your life. You have to play the game. If you don't not stay up with your heads. You have to play the game. If you don't just stay up with your heads. Someone, let me go to you, someone. Don't you carry me, someone to me. And I tried everything that was down. It's been a year now, and that year that'll never come back to me. I've been playing the game. It's not the game is rigged. She's been playing the game. The game
go. Amazing. Thank you so much. Yay. Say one last thing about the show. I don't know where to click.
I'll click for you.
All right, thank you so much. But yeah, so that's the show, and we're so thankful to A4. I mean, we were able to get industry people in the room, and actually, because of the Tank Showcase, we got to go. We actually just went live yesterday at Ars Nova, so we had our off-Broadway debut for the show. And we're just really thankful for A4. I mean, this is a Palestinian musical with a fully Arab cast, and the New York theater scene, I'm just gonna say it, is progressive about a lot of things, but not about Palestine. So when we've been trying to pitch the show to people around the city, trying to get funding so we can pay our people, because Arab artists deserve to be paid like everybody else in the city, we did not really get a lot of response. So the fact that A4 came through, we're just so grateful, I mean, for our communities to be joined together, because, you know, it's all the same. You know, it's not, but it is. And yeah, we're just really, really grateful. I mean, this show, I've been working on it for 4 years now, and it's been my lifelong dream to see, you know, Palestinians in musical theater, Arabs and Swana individuals in musical theater, because we make statistically less than 2% of actors and creators in the musical theater scene. And I think that needs to change, because the craziest part about a musical should be the music, not who we're casting in these shows. So yeah, we're just really grateful for A4, and we're going to sing your praises for the rest of our lives, me and our team. So thank you so much for seeing us and for uplifting the Palestinian community, and, you know, putting on the show, especially with everything happening in Palestine, has been extremely hard. So for us to have community would not have been possible without you. So I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. And a little video on you.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Poeticians, was a curator in the room? Yes. Hi, my name is Hind Shoufani. I'm a Palestinian filmmaker and writer who grew up all over the Arab world. In diaspora as a Palestinian, but, you know, adjacent, right there. Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and eventually made my way into Palestine as an adult, which I'm grateful for. I set up Poeticians in 2007 when I first returned from New York. I lived in New York, and I saw some events in the New Yorker on Bowery. I watched some people from Def Jam poetry and was deeply inspired by the civil rights movement poetry as well. And when I moved back to the Arab world after I finished my MFA, I was like, we don't have any cool poetry events in Beirut. And so I did what people do when they can't find something, they invent it, they make it. And it's my first lesson: if you can't find it, just do it. So we set up Poeticians in my living room before it even had a name, and then we went into a bar, and then another bar, and then another I don't know what. And now I've hosted more than 50 of them across, 18 years. It's insane how much I've aged. And Poeticians was always a very blunt space, a non-spiritual space, as much as the lovely Justine would like to. It was very sweet that you thought it was a spiritual event. I'm much more into kind of aggressive poetry and violence in language. But it's a very also loving, warm, inclusive space, of course, but I'm not a fan of rhyming poetry or very delicate, soft work. So most of the curation I do is feminist and in your face and sort of secular and sexual and very political. Poeticians is actually poets involved in politics. Anyway, I stopped doing it a few years ago in Dubai, and we've performed in Amman, in Beirut, and in Dubai for many years in storage containers, in restaurants, in shawarma stands. We performed everywhere, and it's a very elastic space. More than 50, 60 people have come through Poeticians, maybe a lot more now. And then when I moved to New York, friends said, you should do it, you should start Poeticians again. And I thought, nah, it's saturated. How many more poetry readings can a city take? Like, come on, there's too much happening. But when I saw the grant, and there was also an element that I've been very distressed the past couple of years in a way that's very new, even though I lived in the Arab world and saw war a lot. This is unlike anything most of you have ever seen, any of us. So I haven't really been able to do a lot of corporate work or to go out there and sort of sell myself in a new city and do all the work I needed to do to maintain rent and blah, blah, blah. So thinking of adding on the labor of putting on a poetry event in a new town, not new, but I mean, I don't have a network here.